So Lodge Manufacturing, the best cast iron, at least in my opinion, they just opened a museum. That's right, a museum of cast iron. It was pretty cool. We were invited to one of the pre-opening days before it went live to the public, and we got to go and just kind of tour the facility and eat some great food and mingle with some friends of ours that we've made over the years with Lodge. And anyways, when we left, we got this goodie bag, and it was like, this thing was like, it was heavy. And because it was full of great stuff. It was full of cast iron, it was full of stickers, it was full of all kind of fun things. And one of them was this beer. It even has foundry dust on the cans. And I thought, man, I just want to put this beer on ice and drink it. But I thought we should make something great in cast iron with it. So that's what we're gonna do today. So we're making beer, bacon, and cheese soup today. So the base is gonna be bacon, onions, garlic, and then we need some liquids. So that's gonna be the beer, chicken broth, or chicken stock, and then we're gonna need a thickener. So we're gonna use a little bit of flour, and then we're gonna finish it with some cream. Of course, cheese. We have some white cheddar today. I know I have that in the fridge. And then we're gonna garnish it. And the garnish, cilantro, red pepper, maybe something spicy. So now we're just gonna start cooking. We're gonna make this beer, bacon, and cheese soup with this Lodge beer, and it's gonna be fantastic. Perfect time for this time of year. Anytime something is round, make sure to cut the ends off. Get that flat spot. We're gonna cut that onion in half before we start to peel it. That's just a fast, easy way. So we're gonna dice this onion. Yeah, so when you're cooking, if you wanna be inefficient, just do one piece. If you want to be, faster, cut it, double it. If you want to be really fast, you can cut a bunch and learn how to use the big knife, this big knife like this. And if you do that, all of your cooking will get faster and better and more fun. And so if you're looking to learn how to use this knife, we have other videos for you on that. But today we're just cutting some bacon. Always cuts easier when it's a little bit frozen. And we're gonna start cooking. Back when I used to work at the Biltmore Estate, I used to make beer and cheese soup all the time. It was one of my favorites to make. Everyone used to ask, why is it so good? And I was like, because I use good beer. So good beer makes good soup. And I said, well, the boss asked, like, where are you getting the beer from? I said, I just go in the cooler and tap the keg. We had the kegs were in one of our coolers, and it had a little drain valve, and so I would usually use the Guinness or the Newcastle. Newcastle makes a great one, but today we're using this Lodge beer. So now we're just getting ready to cook. We always saute in 3 steps. You first heat the pan, then you heat the fat, then you heat the food. Heat the pan, heat the fat, heat the food. Heat the pan, heat the fat, heat the food. But today, the fat and your food are the same thing. It's bacon. So let that thing get hot. My pan is hot, and my fat's gonna go in. My fat and my food. It's about to smell good in here. The plan is to cook the bacon till it's almost crispy. I like it to be not quite all the way done for this. And we're gonna have a lot of bacon grease that comes out of here. And when it gets basically a little bit over half to 3/4 done, we're gonna add our onions, and then we need some garlic. That seems good. The garlic. Cut that little brown end off. You don't want that if you were making nice food. There's no shame in buying your garlic already peeled, especially when you use a lot of it. You can get little bags of peeled garlic from the grocery store. And then we are going to chop this garlic up. You can smash them if you want to. Oh, lost one. As my kids would say when stuff hits the floor, oopsie doodles. I keep a little log of all the things my kids say, all the cute little things that they say. I love it. Some cilantro. Gonna peel it off the stems. And you can save the stems for later if you want to, because you can use them. How do you know if you can use a stem? Just eat it. And if it has flavor and it's soft enough to chew, it's usable, which in cilantro is very much the case. Now here's what you need to know about like cooking bacon. You ever cook bacon and it seems like nothing's happening, like you're cooking it forever and nothing's happening? It's not getting crispier, it's not getting darker. And then like, you turn around, you go get a drink, you do anything for just a short period of time, you come back and it's burned. Well, that's because it's getting rid of moisture first. So water boils at 212 degrees, and when you have a lot of water around, it keeps that temperature down pretty low. But as soon as the water evaporates, then all of the temperature of the pan, you'll just be left with the fat. And once there's just fat, fat can get really high temperature and make things cook really, really fast. And so bacon has a lot of moisture in it. And so once the moisture was gone, it seemed like nothing was happening. Now all of a sudden, my bacon is crispy, it's ready. Now I'm gonna stop that cooking by adding a bunch of moisture. So we're gonna add the onions, we're gonna add the garlic, and we're gonna basically bring the temperature back down by adding the moisture that's gonna come out of the onions and out of the garlic. And we're gonna cook this down a little bit. I do love a pair of tongs. But my favorite utensil is a wooden spoon, which we're gonna get to here soon. We're just gonna keep letting this cook until the onions start to soften and the garlic gets done all the way through. Get back in the pot. Get back in there. Anytime you have herbs, the easiest way to chop them is to roll them into a ball and then cut them fine every time. There is a big difference between sliding the knife through the herbs versus just pressing up and down. You want the knife to slide so it actually cuts through the herbs and doesn't bruise them. And then I'm gonna grab them, turn them, and I have some cilantro for garnish. For flavor at the same time, because your garnishes should be edible. And they should make sense with your dish. So just putting something red on a plate because you want color is insanity. Instead, you want to put things together that actually complement the flavor. So you're gonna get to this point where we're at about right now. The bacon is a perfect doneness right now. It looks beautiful. The garlic, you'll see the garlic is starting to turn a little bit of color. It's getting cooked through. The onions are starting to turn clear. We are just about ready to sanger. Okay? Sanger means to dust, and we're going to dust this fat with a little flour and create a roux. So we're gonna get ready to do the next step, which is to sanger. We're gonna dust this with flour, but I wanna have everything ready to go. So we need a beer. I can drink that. If you won't drink it, don't cook with it. So here we are, we've got some flour. Now, leave your fat in the pan. That's a lot of flavor and that's what we want. Flour and fat create a roux. Am I measuring it? No, we're just gonna put some in there. That's probably plenty. Oh heck, let's just do a little more. Make the soup nice and thick and rich. Okay. So flour and fat make a roux. And a roux is a thickening agent. But also, it can flavor things. So I wanna actually cook my roux in here. One, to get that raw flour taste out of the flour itself. But then 2, I want to get a little bit of color, a little bit of light brown on my flour, because that's flavor. I want some of that flavor to enrich in the entire soup. You can tell by looking at the color of the bottom of your pan, you'll start to see a little bit of golden happening, and that is from the roux, basically from the sugars of the flour caramelizing. So our next step is the beer. So this is deglazing. If it's anything stuck to the bottom of the pan, the beer will help take care of that. And so I'll probably do this in more than one stage. So because we're going to temper it in. We're going to do a little bit of beer and mix it until it's fully incorporated, okay? And then we're going to add a little bit more beer. We're going to mix it. And the goal is to get that roux, all the flour and beer mixed together. Tempering is little by little, and this will help avoid any lumps in your soup. A tip for you, if you are new to cooking and haven't done this a whole lot, turn your heat down, okay? If your heat goes down, you stay in control, and that's what you want when you're cooking. Turn the heat down to stay in control. If you've been doing it a while and you don't mind cooking, moving a little faster, well then turn your heat up. It works just fine. Now it's starting to get nice and creamy. The beer and the flour have come together. I've worked most of my lumps out. This beer is done. Now where one beer is good, two will make it better. Now scrape the bottom of that pan. It is wanting to stick a little bit. Now this beer is an ale, so 2 is great. If it was a darker beer, I might have gone a little less because you don't want to make it too bitter. So I'm just going to bring it to a simmer and allow the alcohol to burn off and allow it to reduce. Anytime you take something that was this much volume and you cook it down a little bit, the flavor gets stronger, it intensifies. And so that's what I want to do with these 2 guys. This looks amazing. Let's give it a taste, see how we're doing. We're ready to start seasoning. We're gonna add some salt. I'm gonna do a little white pepper. So the question on the table we have is, what's white pepper? You've probably heard of black pepper. So my videographer, she's asking cooking questions. She's learned all kinds of cooking stuff. And you have different peppercorns. You can have white peppercorns, black peppercorns, and I think there's brown peppercorns. They're basically a seed of a plant, and and you can choke on it if you let it get airborne. So they have different flavor profiles. White pepper is typically ground a lot finer. It's a lot stronger, but I like the flavor of white pepper a lot, and it won't leave you black specks in something creamy if you want to avoid that. So it's thickened up a little bit, and the viscosity you can check on the back of the spoon, and you can see how thick it is on the back of that spoon. So we're going to continue. We're going to add a little bit of chicken broth to it. So now we're just going to bring this to a full boil, and then just let it simmer a little bit before we finish it off. So we got a couple more things to prep. So all we have left is just cutting this pepper and grating the cheese. So the pepper, when you cut it, if you want to see how hot it is, you can test it by touching that little white part there with your tongue and see how, it's spicy. And it'll tell you how spicy the pepper is without burning your whole mouth. And so we are going to cut that pepper in half. I am going to get rid of the seeds. And then we are going to dice it. Now we're just going to grate some cheese. I love a good cheese grater. This one's great. So this is sharp white cheddar. I'm going to do a bunch of it. Anything in a pot will get hot, including your wooden spoon. Now, we're gonna grate just a little bit of Parmesan. It's time to finish off the soup. Let's do this. So I've got the base still simmering away, and we're gonna add some cream to it. How much cream? Till it looks good. We want to bring that back to a simmer so we can start adding the cheese. Once you get some simmer bubbles going, your cheese can start to go in. Cheese is last because cheese will burn. And so we'll actually turn the heat off here in just a minute. Give it a taste. Oh wow, that's pretty fantastic. It can take some more cheese. We'll save a little bit for on top. Turn my heat off. We're gonna add some cilantro, because I like it. We're gonna add some red chilies. Give it a little bit of spice right there at the end. Finish it off. A little Parmesan, some more white cheddar, edible garnish. This is a great pairing for this time of year. We have this beer, bacon, and cheese soup with some crusty Spanish bread and a nice wintry salad with a homemade vinaigrette. Thanks for cooking and with me today, and we're gonna cook again soon.